Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for your patience. We are up and running. Hello to everyone who's joining us on Zoom and everyone who is here amongst us. We begin with words from the psalmist most appropriate today. How good and how pleasant it is for us all to be together on this Shabbat. Hinei matov. Hinei matov u'manayim. Shabbat achim gam yachad. 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 Hinei matov u'manayim. Shabbat achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. Hinei matov. How wonderful it is that we are all here. Those of us physically here in this beautiful space and those of us joining us virtually, welcome and Shabbat Shalom. We enter into Shabbat with the spirit of joy, the spirit of restfulness, of wholeness, and the spirit of celebration as Refi Briskman becomes bat mitzvah today. For those of you who we don't know, I'm Rabbi Levine.
Cantor Corn.
And we want to share a few reminders as we move into our service. First, if you have a cell phone or other device, please turn it off or put it into airplane mode, unless you're on Zoom, in which case, please continue using it. We appreciate you wearing masks and ask that you do keep the masks on for the duration of our service. Bathrooms. Cantor, are there special instructions for the bathrooms?
Nope.
Okay, bathrooms are right this way through the door if you need it any moment. And for the safety of all of those in attendance today, we will not be participating in congregational singing, but we know that you will delight in hearing Refi sing, and if you're ever moved to clap along, that's a wonderful way to participate. Additionally, one of the ways that we celebrate Refi and maintain the spirit of Shabbat is, instead of applauding when we feel moments of pride, to do something we call a shul clap, which goes like this, and you can practice it with me right now. Awesome. I know that there will be many moments during the service where you'll want to do the shul clap. So we continue our service by presenting a talit to Refi, and her parents will present this talit. And the talit, this prayer shawl, is significant not in that it adds an extra layer of clothing on a quickly warming day, but that it has 4 fringes, and that on each of these fringes there are twinings and knots that altogether symbolize the 613 mitzvot, the 613 ways of practicing Judaism. And one doesn't begin to wear the weight of tradition, until one becomes a Jewish adult, which you do when you turn 13 and become bat mitzvah. So Refi, I'm going to invite you and your parents, Scott and Dore, to come up, and your parents will share some words of blessing, and then they'll present you with your talit.
First of all, I want to say hello to everybody in the audience and everybody on Zoom. There's a lot of people that love and support you, and you're going to be amazing. I want to just open by saying, Refi, that Mom and I are so proud of you, more so than you know, but not just because of how you prepared for this event. Really, we're proud of you because of who you are. You're an amazing person, creative thinker, a whippersnapper, but most importantly, you are a consistent ray of positivity in our life and in everybody that's around you today. Whatever you do going forward, just remind yourself to never lose that. Life, as you now know, is going to have ups and it's going to have downs. If there's anything that we're learning from all this, and that's a testament to what's happening today. Don't ever let that get you down. You have so much going for you, and you're going to be amazing. Stay true to who you are, and everything's going to be awesome.
Refi, your dad just went into all the details of how proud we are. You worked hard. Everybody knows that. You know that. This is what I'm going to tell you. You're an absolute light. Your maturity is beyond years. You are diplomatic. You are honest. You are loyal. You don't let anyone tell you who to be, what to be, where to be, or who to follow. You always see the glass half full. At an age and time where lives are so overly influenced by the internet, where teens find self-worth and popularity by how many likes and comments, you find a way to laugh at it, to not put any self-value or weight in it, and I find myself learning from you versus you learning from me. You make choices for yourself, not based on what others think and say. Don't ever stop that, ever. Rafaela Isolde Briskman. I knew you didn't want me to do the whole thing, but I did. You know these last few months haven't been easy, and I know the future is totally unknown, but you've held it together in a display of beauty and grace. We love you dearly. All right, put these back on now. No, we're gonna do it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Blessed are you, sovereign of the universe, who has created us and sustained us and brought us to this very moment. Continue with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yikadesh shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yotei v'yamelech mahutei b'chayahon u'v'yamechon u'v'hayeduchu be'Yisrael b'hagala u'b'zman kariv ve'imeru. Amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarah le'olam u'meyamaya yibarach Yipara v'ishtabar v'yapar v'roman v'naseh v'tadar v'talei v'tala shemeda kudusha b'richu le'ela mikol b'shirata tushbihata v'nechemata damiram be'amak be'imeru. Amen.
To continue with the Baruch Hu, as you are able, I invite you to rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue with the Shema in a moment. For those of you who are wearing a talit, we take those tzitzit, the four fringes on the corner, gather them together in one hand, symbolizing unity, bringing together all of the diverse ways of being Jewish, and perhaps even symbolizing all the diverse ways of being human, and maybe even all of the diverse ways of being a creature in this universe. That there's a lot of difference, there's a lot of distinction and diversity, but underneath it all, in Judaism we say there is oneness, which we call God.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malachuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue with Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. היו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבבך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלתך דרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, ושרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם לכל מצוותי, והיים קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
Our next prayer, the Micha Mocha, is a prayer of wow and thanks, a prayer that the ancient Israelites first said upon crossing the Red Sea that had parted miraculously for them. They walked through on dry land and escaped from being enslaved in Egypt. And at that moment, they had freedom, and they were amazed, and they sang these words. And then quickly thereafter, they became part of the covenant with God and took up the Jewish tradition. So it marks both a moment of new freedom and new responsibility. And as Refi becomes bat mitzvah today, this prayer really resonates with this moment for you. You're moving into a new freedom in your relationship with Judaism, and also a new sense of responsibility to really carry Judaism, to really live it out in your life. Are you ready for that freedom and responsibility? Wonderful.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף עליהם, נורא תהילות אוסף עליהם, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. שיר החדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך שפתיים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחנו מחה יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני ישראל.
We move now into a series of prayers known as the Amidah, our standing prayer. So we invite you to stand as you are able. And these prayers represent sort of the central moment of prayer as prayer. And after a few of these prayers, we'll move into our own private prayer.
Adonai sefatai tifta ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Le'man Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha b'geburot, Umido melech, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shamakdishim oto bishmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, Vekara ze'el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Ma'adir Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu vehu Yashmienu, berachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Yiksion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid kolecha, Ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish, Veshivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We take a moment to bring to mind something perhaps that you're thankful for or in awe of, or any other prayer that might be on your heart today.
We come out of our peaceful prayers now with our own prayer for peace. Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom. Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 We arrive now at really the peak of our service, the moment that many of you are waiting for. I know it's a moment Refi has been working so hard for, and I think is really excited about this moment. Are you excited about this moment? Yes. This is the moment that we will take our Torah scroll out of the Ark, our holiest teaching, the history of our people. And the Torah will be passed to Refi, who will hold it in her arms. And eventually she will also read from the Torah, specifically chant from the Torah, and she will also teach from the Torah. Today, Refi, not only do you become an adult in our community, but you become the newest teacher of Torah. And we take incredible pride in that. I'm going to call now upon Refi's family, Scott and Dore and Stephen, to join us on the bima as they line up, and they will make a chain from the Ark to Refi's arms. But before we do that, I'm going to have everyone face me for just a moment. Refi, we're going to put this Torah in your arms today. And it is not coincidence that Torah landed here. For generations in your family, not only the generations here, but there are generations watching from around the country today who have ensured that Torah came here today. Through generations and generations, from when we received Torah at Sinai, it was almost destiny that it was going to end up in your arms today, here at Temple Isaiah in Lafayette, California. And you know, because you've held the Torah is a little bit heavy, but you're strong. And that's the message to walk away with today, is that the responsibility we are putting on your shoulders today is a big responsibility, symbolic of this heavy Torah that you're going to carry. But we have incredible faith because we know you are strong. Strong in your convictions, as your mom was saying. Strong in your Jewish identity. Strong in your understanding that even at your young age, you have the power and the passion to make a difference in this world. And because of that, we do this with great pride, but also great expectation that you will not be the end of the chain, that you will pass the Torah then, in the future, to many, many generations that come after you. So now I invite your mom to take the Torah out of the ark. As we pass the Torah to you, Lador Vador, from generation to generation. We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. Ledor vador nagid god lecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. Ledor vador these lips will praise your name. And now, Refi, with the Torah in your arms, I invite you to lead us in the Shema from the Torah service. And now we undress the Torah, preparing for you to read it. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Scott, I'm going to ask you to close the ark, and you can almost all return to your seat, except Stephen is going to stay right there. Yeah, I think it's better on that side. One second. And now, Stephen, 1 second.
As we prepare to read from the Torah, just a little context of where we're at. We're in the book of Numbers, the fourth book of the Torah, and the book of Numbers begins with a very orderly census. Everyone is arranged by tribe, and it seems like they're going to march with confidence and clarity towards the promised land. And then very quickly, everything falls apart, and the people cease to believe in themselves, and they're constantly complaining. And so we're going to hear a little bit about that later in Refi's Devar Torah, but she's going to chant from this portion as well.
For the first Aliyah this morning, we call Refi's brother, Stephen. Ya'amod ha'olel Aliyah LaTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Ubiom hakim et hamishkan, kisa ha'anan et hamishkan, le'ohel ha'idut, uva'erev yehiel hamishkan, kemar esh ad boker, ken yehiel tamid, ha'anan yachasenu, umar esh laila, ufi Halot Hanan Melchachel V'Harehen Yisu b'nei Yisrael ubimkom asher yishkon sham yachanu Hanan sham yachanu b'nei Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Give her a hug. Give her a hug. And now I invite the Giovanello family to join us for the second Aliyah, and you're going to join at the music stand that's over by the rabbi. The blessing is on the stand there. Yamdu haolim la'aliyah laTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Al pi Adonai Yisu b'nei Yisrael Ve'al pi Adonai Yachanu kol yemei Asher yishkon Hanan al hamishkan Yachanu Uhari Hanan al hamishkan Yamim Rabim B'shameru b'nei Yisrael et mishmeret Adonai v'lo yisau ve'yesh asher hieh Hanan yamim mispar al hamishkan al pi Adonai yachanu ve'al pi Adonai yisau.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah et met, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And for the next Aliyah, we call up Refi's parents, Scott and Dore. Ya'amdu haolim la'aliyah laTorah.
Baruch Adonai. Sorry.
Baruch
Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayesh asher hieh Hanan merev ad boker b'na'alah Hanan baboker v'nasau o yomam b'layla b'na'alah Hanan v'nasau o yomayim o hodesh o yomim becharik Hanan o hamishkan lishkon alav Yachanu b'nei Yisrael ve'al pi
Velo
yisau uvalakto yisau al pi Adonai Yachanu ve'al pi Adonai yisau et mishmeret Adonai shamaru al pi Adonai be'ad Moshe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Mom and Dad, actually, I'm going to have you guys stay up with Refi while she gets called to the Torah. So now, Refi, we call you to the Torah to pronounce words of blessing. Tamod, 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 Habachura, Bat HaMitzvah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'nata lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Vaydabar Adonai el Moshe lemo aseh lecha shetei hasoro kesef miksha taseh otam v'chayu lecha namigara ha'edav umasa et hamahanot v'takaru behen v'noadu elecha kol ha'edako el petach el moed. Vaytem ve'im bechad yikaku v'noadu elecha hanasim Rashi Ofem Yisrael. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nata lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betoheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach, beautiful chanting.
Yeah.
So we'll invite Skandore, you can go back to your seat.
We take this moment while the Torah is out, the Torah symbolizing what brings us together as community, to offer a healing prayer for those in need. We are thinking in particular of Scott's dad, Joel Briskman, and we hold in our hearts all those who are in need of healing.
Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Yimotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. I now will ask Refi's family to join her to help her dress the Torah as we return the Torah to the ark. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei banei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la, yalla la la la, yalla la la, yalla la la. Please rise. It's Chaim Hi מחזיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם. Please be seated.
Over these past few months, many things have changed. If you saw someone wearing a mask about a year ago, you would feel bad and hope they had good health. Now, if you see someone with a mask, you know they just want to get through the 2-hour line for groceries just like you. My Devar Torah focuses on chapter 11 of the Deuteronomy. In that chapter, a lot of complaining happens. Moses complains about the burden of leading the Israelites, and the Israelites complain about wanting meat to eat. The Israelites, the Eternal One, God, asked Moses to bring him 70 of Israel's elders. The elders were sent to help Moses take some of the burden. God seems to think Moses' complaints make sense, not so much for the Israelites. For some context, after the Israelites fled Egypt, hunger struck. Although they had bad food, they didn't have enough meat. Over time, they began to complain and say they wanted to go back to Egypt, where there was plenty of meat and no limited supplies. Of course, they were slaves in Egypt. And even though they didn't have freedom in Egypt, all they remember now is that they had meat, which is something they miss. When Moses brought the complaint to God, God gave them meat, but with a price. They wouldn't be able to eat the meat freely. They had to eat it for a whole month with no breaks. They can't even move on in their journey until they are done eating. They have to eat until it comes out of their nostrils and practically explode from too much. I don't think anyone would like that. Imagine eating the first bite and it tastes so good. Then you have to keep taking bites and eventually you lose your control and you just aren't enjoying it anymore. So here's the big idea. Complaining is a rocky subject. It can have many outcomes, but in this case, I think it relates to what is happening in the world right now, which also has many opinions. People complained about masks and social distancing, and once they got to be outside without a mask and be free again, more cases struck and they had to go right back to the beginning. Once the Israelites got meat, it was a few minutes of pleasure until the actual outcome of the complaints kicked in. The Israelites were dwelling on such a small thing compared to the grand moment in history that they were a part of. Everyone complains, but sometimes you need to look at the bigger picture. For example, it's really easy to dwell something that isn't important. Anyone can get distracted, so it's no surprise. Sometimes little kids will dwell on the same subject for hours, whether it's bad or good, like ice cream. When you are little, you want more sugar, but instead of asking once and going with the flow, and working together with your parents to figure out when you're going to get ice cream, you keep on nagging and dwell on whether or not you're going to get the ice cream. But at the end of the day, they'll say one of two things. Either they get so fed up that they say no ice cream, or they give you all the ice cream and let you learn yourself, and of course, later you have a terrible stomach ache. The message I'm trying to send out is why stall and dwell on the negative when you can keep going and reach for the good outcome. Complaining never really gets you what you want, because either you get too much of the good thing and it ends up being a bad thing in the end, mentally or physically, or you don't get anything at all because you weren't being grateful. When you complain, you get stuck on this one small thing, rather than seeing the bigger picture. The Israelites, when they complain about missing meat, aren't seeing that although maybe they had meat back in Egypt, they didn't have freedom. By focusing on the negative in the wilderness, they are missing the larger, amazing historical moment. So please, when you want to complain, think of ways to get around the problem or talk about it in a different tone. A tone where you can have a healthy conversation on how to fix the problem. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh.
Thank you, Refi. What an important message for us to hear right now. Thank you. In addition to everything that Refi has done to prepare for this day, all the amazing studies she has done of Hebrew and prayers and singing and chanting, studying Torah, Refi has an understanding that becoming bat mitzvah is more than just what happens here this morning. Because she is transformed today. She has become a bat mitzvah. And she understands that part of that transformation has been the acquisition of the knowledge and responsibility of what it means to be an important contributing member of our community. And so she has taken on a mitzvah project, the opportunity for her to demonstrate at her young age that she can make a difference in this world. The challenge of having to creatively think in this particular environment how she is going to take on that mitzvah. So she will lead us in the blessing before the Haftarah. Haftarah is traditionally the blessing precedes the reading of the prophets, and today Refi takes on that prophetic message of Tikkun Olam, repairing this very broken world.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bimim tovim v'ratzah v'divrahem ha'emet be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai chaboher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'Vinvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. For my mitzvah project, I wrote letters to people in a retirement home. Families are having a very hard time getting to see each other, and I know grandparents are so important in your life. I admire my grandparents. I have always known I can talk to them at any time, so not being able to see them is hard, but that doesn't mean we can't reach out. I chose the project because sometimes you forget to appreciate the older family members in your life. I know how hard it is for families to see each other right now, so to be able to put a smile on someone else's face, even if it's just a small gesture, can make the gesture mean so much more. I learned from this experience that the smaller things matter, then any gesture, big or small, can turn someone's day around for the better, that even if it's just a letter, it can bring such a big smile to someone's face. I miss my grandparents greatly, and every time I talk to them, it makes my day. So being able to do that for someone else is definitely worth it. I'm done. Oh.
Oh, Refi, what a delight it has been. You can grab it.
Okay.
What a delight it has been to work with you and to see you become bat mitzvah today. You know, it's not just kids that obsess about sugar.
Yeah.
During your fourth aliyah, as you were chanting, a little hummingbird was flitting around, and I think it knew that something really sweet and special was happening. So I hope that you feel that too. You have such a joy to you, just a real lightness and relatability and connectability with everyone you talk to. And you're also so generous. You are very generous in sharing words in a conversation, and have a real generous heart, as evidenced in writing letters to folks for your mitzvah project. And I think it goes a little deeper. In contrast to the ancient Israelites, who were always thinking that resources were scarce, that they didn't have what they needed, my sense is that you have a assumption of abundance, that there's plenty to go around, there's plenty of fun, there's plenty of friendship, that who you are is plenty enough. At the beginning of your Torah portion, the word that gives your Torah portion its name, beha'alotcha, literally it means in raising up. It's the same root as aliyah, what you did when you went up to chant Torah. But it's not going up, it's raising other people up. And I want to charge you today with leaning into your confidence and your boldness, which you have, and to own that you know what you know, and that you have a good head and good insight into what's good for people, what's good for you, to be strong in that, to raise other people up. In the Torah portion, what's being raised up is actually a light to light the menorah, the ancient symbol of Judaism, with its 7 lights. So tap into that fire within you and help lift other people up. Help them connect to their passion too, to let them tap into their own fire and to bring more light into this world. And most importantly, the menorah isn't just one single light, it's a whole set of lights, because we're not in this alone, we're in this together. And to always treasure your friends, your family, and your community. Yasher koach. We offer you now a priestly blessing, an ancient benediction. We invite your parents to join you and offer these ancient words. And imagine that it's not just the blessing of the cantor and myself right now, but all of the great sages, all of the great leaders of our tradition blessing you and encouraging you to keep growing in your leadership.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light kindle your fire, and may God be gracious with you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom.
May the divine presence lift you up in low moments, and may you be granted that most precious of all gifts, the gift of peace. And together we say, Amen.
Amen. You can have a little hug. And then you're going to go back to your seats. You do.
We move into our concluding prayers, beginning with Aleinu, which says, Aleinu l'shabech. It's our responsibility, among the many responsibilities and gifts of our tradition, it's our responsibility to offer praise, to see the good in the world as Refi does. We invite you to rise as you are able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
And our thoughts turn to our loved ones who are no longer here with us. As we prepare to recite Mourner's Kaddish, we remember in particular Stephen Freed, Lillian Briskman, Seymour Briskman, Mike Goldberg, Roz Goldberg, Paul Shapiro, Rebecca and Isaac Pariser Band. We hold in our hearts the names of all our loved ones who are no longer here with us. We recite the words of Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen.
Zichronam livracha, may the memory of our loved ones add blessing to this day.
And I'll invite now one last time for Refi and her parents and Stephen to join us on the bima. We are going to conclude with the words Siman Tovu Mazel Tov, wishing Refi and her family a congratulations, a Mazel Tov. Today is indeed an incredibly holy day and a really exciting day for the Jewish people as we welcome you now, Refi, as an adult, as a member, full-fledged teacher of Torah into our community. We are so proud. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yahelanu, 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 Ulecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Thank you, all of you, for joining us here, and thank you to everyone on Zoom who's joined us as well. This is a huge sanctuary today, one that stretches internationally. And we are so incredibly happy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.